Morning, family. Welcome to today's Lessons for Life. Today is Wednesday, May 19, 2010, and today we're reading in Psalm 119. As always, I encourage you to read the scriptures through for yourself. See what you get from it. Email us and we'll put it on our, well, actually don't email us. You can put it directly onto the blog. Psalm 119, this is a, this Psalm was the question I had from you children from when I actually kind of started Lessons for Life. What are you going to do when we get to Psalm 119? Because of course it's like the longest, has most verses, and I'm sticking with how we're reading a chapter at a time. And as always, there's so many things you can get from all of these chapters or from all of these readings that we read in the morning. So you got to make sure you read it for yourself and take some time, as we've been discussing this morning. Take time and read it through, several times. Take it up. We went through it in our daily devotionals, breaking it up into, you see it's broken up into different sections of 8 verses, and they all have the little titles above it. But one thing I would even say is, this even teaches us a lesson of balance, because we've gone through some chapters where it's only 2 verses or very short chapters, and a lot of the earlier Psalms were short. Now we get one that's long, but this is all part of the balance of life. Some are short, some are long, some are regular. But I read it just the same. I read through the entire Psalm 119 this morning, and this, like I said, as always, there's a lot of things you can get from it. So read it through, take your time, read through it, and see what you get from it. A couple of things I'll touch on very quickly this morning that I wanted to share, that I pulled out from this psalm, and it talks about, throughout really all the psalm, talks about the law of God, the precepts, the statutes, the commandments, judgments, and there's different words that it uses for the law, and that's what the predominant message of this book is about, of this chapter is about. But it's one part of it says that before he was afflicted, he went astray. So before there was problems, sometimes you go astray or will go astray, but then it goes on to say it's good that I have been afflicted. So this is like, to me, it's like different stages. Before there was affliction, he went astray. Then because of his affliction, it was good now that he was afflicted, because then it really got him back into the law. And this is sometimes what we need to get us back into God's word and into doing the things that we're supposed to be doing, the affliction that come up against us. But then that's like stage 2, and I think I brought this up before in Lessons for Life. Good is just good. It's not the best. Good is just good. It's not the best. So good to be afflicted. But then it even goes on further in this psalm, and it says, great peace have they who love the Lord. And if we go the way that we are astray, then it's really good that we get afflicted so that we can get back in alignment with the Lord. But once we keep that alignment, or once we are staying in the law of the Lord, then we should experience that great peace. So that's really what I would consider the best. So there's good to be afflicted when you have gone astray, but that's not really what the best that we want for our lives. It's great peace when we love the law, when we stay in the law, when we keep the law and do according to the law. And one other thing I want to bring up from this psalm that kind of really jumped out to me as I read through, and like I said, there's so many things you can get from it, so make sure you read it through piece by piece. But another thing he brought up was just about the wisdom that comes from the law and from keeping the law. And this is wisdom that you can't get from, I don't think, from anywhere else, from going to get a doctorate, or going to get your bachelor's, master's, and all the degrees that you can get in through regular schooling system or whatever. And it just talks about the wisdom that makes he's wiser than any of his enemies, just because he knows the law and keeps the law in his heart. And this is something that I find, especially for my own self, that is so great to know, because he says it makes him even to go past his teachers. When you take the law and when you study the law, this is really the only education I would say that we really need to know. You talk about the different things you learn in school. That's all great, but that's really for what I would say is the world system or what have you. But the best education that we can have is knowing the law of the Lord, and this is a supreme degree of supreme knowledge that we can have in life. just knowing the law of the Lord. Because once you know that, then you know how to live your life. You know, these other degrees that you can get in school, you can know how to do certain things or what have you. But knowing these laws, knowing the law of the Lord, teaches you how to live your life, which is just, that point right there was just awesome to me. I was just, you know, it was very encouraging. That's the knowledge that we need to know in life. You don't have to worry about the other stuff. If you know the law of the Lord, if you know this is a predominant thing that we need to learn above everything else in life, the law of the Lord. This will help us to have success in any other area that we want to in life. So that's what I want to share very briefly. Like I said, you know, this is a long chapter, but make sure you read it through. You know, you can break it up into sections and read it, but I wanted to keep with our chapter by chapter. We're going through the Word of the Lord. So with that, create yourself a wonderfully blessed day today, and we'll talk again tomorrow.